Tigers.
Where's Liam?
Oh, that tiger.
Right here. Hey, bud.
Someone's tired.
Nah, Liam doesn't want to do it. Yeah, I'm really not in the mood for this.
Get off your phone. We're doing a podcast.
I'm going to be
Liam's having
sitting
a
on my
sleep.
phone.
That's not very professional.
All right.
I don't care.
All right. Get ready, boys.
Professional.
Here we go.
Podcast, you know. Look at Joe Rogan.
Pull up.
All right, boys. We're live on YouTube. I'm going to start the introduction. Here we go.
Hi, Con.
All right, boys. Welcome back to Corner Timeout podcast brought to you from sheer boredom and a lack of hockey. Liam is not having it right now, so I'm going to introduce him first. Liam, how has your week been, bud?
Oh, boys, I need to.
My week's been all right. I've just been working. That's about it. It's been
Where you work at, mate?
a retirement home.
How are the elderly people treating you there?
They're not happy because they're kind of just stuck there and they can't leave. So, yeah.
True. Shane, I'll throw it over to you. How you been? How's your week been?
Honestly, my week has been pretty uneventful, but at the same time, just been kind of like doing mostly quarantine stuff, going out, exercising a little bit, starting to kick a soccer ball around. So
You've always been kicking
I've
that
been
soccer
doing
ball
that.
around.
I've been doing that. So
Yes, sir. You
Keeping it
get
up.
straight A's this semester?
oh no,
No.
no.
What was do you care to share your grades?
Oh my gosh, you're gonna
You don't
make me
have
do
to.
this in front of a live audience.
You don't have to.
You know what? Sure, I'll share my GPA this semester. I got a 3.64.
3.64. That's not bad.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
there's just a lot of pressure, you know.
Cost
It's like a
doesn't even
live
have
audience.
a GPA, so you're good.
Wow, you're gonna go that way, man.
Cost mate, how you doing?
Doing great, man.
How's your week been? Clocking a bunch of hours this week again.
Fucking of course, man. Of course.
I'm gonna.
I know you were hyped up to start this pod on the Snapchat. And
I was pretty.
last but not least, we got Zach Haywood.
See Haywood.
You're right across from me, Connor. I just dropped my water bottle. I'm not pulling the mic. It's right here. It's been a good week. Just doing summer class, working out, de-thickenizing myself. Pretty much it.
Alrighty, the boys are all here for Epi 3 of Corner Timeout. As we all know,
Bum, bum,
last
bum,
week was a total disaster. We can't all be in the same room at one time because it just didn't work, and it lasted like 20 seconds.
Yeah, you and I are in the same room right now.
Yeah, we are, but it's two people. We can concentrate, and hopefully it'll work. So we got two topics, boys. We're going to go into it. Obviously, major news in the NHL world. 24 team return to play format bracket has been released. Zach, initial thoughts on that?
I just want hockey back. I couldn't really give a crap what format they're doing. I just want hockey back. I miss it. I miss seeing my boys out on the ice. It's just been sad. Freaking China.
Shane, what's your thought about this 24 bracket playoffs thing?
You know, obviously with COVID-19 impacting different sports leagues, both throughout the United States and throughout the world, you have to say that they're trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Admittedly, is this the best solution? Who knows? There's not really a perfect solution in this case. So, you know, you can't please them all, but at the same time, try and please as many as possible. I think this will probably do the trick.
Yeah, I think it's good too. I'm a little on the fence about it, but there's obviously nothing you can really do about it. I'll pull this up in a second. I think what they have going on right now is obviously going to work. I think it's great. Quote here, the NHLPA approves 2014 playoff format for potential return to play. Currently, the players signed it too. The NHL Players Association voted to approve the league's proposal of a 24-team conference-based playoff format to restart. That should be to continue 2019-2020 season. The agreement does not involve a timetable for hockey will return to play, but rather the format the league will adopt. I read it wrong. The decision doesn't guarantee that hockey will return, as the league and players union still need to negotiate other deals, including health and safety protocols. NHLPA later announced that its executive board has authorized further negotiations with the NHL on a 24-team return-to-play format subject to reaching an overall agreement with the league on resuming the season. And the official quote from the NHLPA was, "The executive board of the NHLPA has authorized further negotiations with the NHL on a 24-team return-to-play format to determine the winner of the 2020 Stanley Cup. Obviously, several details remain to be negotiated in an agreement on the format, would still be subject to the parties reaching agreement of all issues relevant to resuming play." Now, I know it's for Flyers fans, it's for Liam, but we gotta talk about this. The Flyers, and this is first time ever that the playoff structure has been changed in so long. The Flyers would have a first round bye. I don't know if Costa's here right now, but if you are Costa, how do you feel about it? I think he's here. Zach, what do you think about that?
Is it 18 or whatever? But 16 to get the first round lunch, so they're just competing for the big lives. Once all said and done, the first round is going to be 16 teams, just like the original format. So,
I think it's a good idea in my opinion. Totally on board about it, but obviously I know there was something with you can't just stop a season. You still have to play the remaining for a wild card and teams competing to get in the playoffs. So I think 24 format team format good. I do think it's a little, maybe there's a little bit too many teams in it, but I guess that's what you have to do because if you look at Montreal, they're barely a 500 team getting in. And just to cover that, you have players who have first round buys. So I guess okay in that case. Shane, what do you think about this 24 new team bracket?
You know, I know the whole buy aspect is under some dispute because a lot of people were talking about how there's this idea that other teams that win their opening series, the ones who essentially have to play into the like overall bracket, like the bigger, more competitive bracket that has the teams that get the bye. You would think that with this kind of extra advantage they have of playing, you know, the series before that against those actual like play-in teams, I think that if you're going to have the bye system set up, you're going to have to allow one of the teams that has the bye to practice or have some sort of like open shoot around during the opening rounds, because there's no way that you can have them just kind of hop right back into it against a team that has just played a series against, you know, regardless. At the same time, like if you're going to look at it through the actual bracket point of view, I don't think there's going to be a way that they can, you know, like fairly get the bye teams to get back up and running in a way that doesn't involve somewhat slowing the play-in teams down. And whether that's through letting the bye teams practice more or something along those lines, I think that's probably the most viable solution. But at the same time, it's still up in the air, so we don't know how that might change.
Yeah, very well said, Shane. I think you did your research. That was beautifully composed, better than Beethoven, my friend. I'm going to pull up this graphic.
He's my inspiration.
He is. I didn't know that. Good to know. We're going to pull this up from our social medias here. Why did people chat lagging? Zach's voice is lagging bad. That's playoff for the video. We're looking at the graphic teams. So for the play-in rounds, sides to the Eastern Conference, we would have the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're just going to go real quick and say who we think would win that. I think Kost left. I think he's gone. I don't think he's here, but we're going to continue that. See if we can get him back in here in a second. Shane, who do you think would win Toronto versus the Blue Jackets? Shane?
I would say I think Toronto's going to win that.
You think Toronto is finally going to get past the first round? And you know what's funny about that is
that's not the first round, really.
The play-in round.
Yeah.
They're fighting to get into the playoffs there, but they go right against Boston again. Potentially. And you know what happens there. Shane, Liam, who do you think is going to win that Toronto versus the Blue Jackets?
Toronto, usually.
Zach, you think Toronto?
It's going to be up in the air.
Connor, Dylan wants you to let him back in.
Where's Dylan? Oh, okay.
Dylan's not in here, man.
Admit. He's in.
It's okay.
Apologize. In my opinion, I think that I think it's tough. I think Toronto would probably get in. Obviously, Columbus lost a lot of pieces. We talked about it before. The biggest thing in that series for me is that Columbus can't maintain their level of competition. They have a one-hit wonder goalie, in my opinion. All their players are gone. They got nobody. I think Toronto just wants to get in there. And I think this probably could be motivation for them, too, to be like, you know what, we're going to fight for it, and we're going to get in there. And then they play Boston. We'll see what happens. I'm going to throw this over to Liam for the next one. We're going the Penguins and the Canadiens. Obviously, the Pens are sitting at number 5 there, and the freaking Canadiens are all the way at 12, the worst team on the Eastern Conference to be in the playoffs in this proposed format. Liam, what are your thoughts on that series?
I think the Penguins will win, but it'll be harder than like you think it would, because I think Carey Price could easily steal a game or two. So,
yeah. Do you think what would a series look like in that? How many games?
It's a 5-game thing. So, I think Penguins would win in 4 games.
Yeah, I do think there's a. Yeah, well, so there's also possibility of it not being a best of 7. I don't know what it.
Yeah, I heard it's a 5-game thing.
It could
like
be
it's a best of 5. So
it could be a best of 5 or best of 3, whatever they choose. You want to say something on that, Zach?
Oh no.
All right. So obviously they could do best of 5 or best of 3 to get them just right in right away, and speed that up right away, and get the next round going. Koss, if you can hear us, who do you think is going to win that Pens versus Canadiens? No, we can't hear him. His mic's muted.
Rough one. It's a rough one for the boys.
All good. We see you, Koss. We see you. You're like a mime right now.
We can't hear you.
Let's move on. We got the Islanders versus the Panthers. This one I think would be a pretty good series. I think Zach is going to say that he thinks the Panthers are going to win. He hopes they do. But no, I wouldn't be. Obviously, the Panthers have a lot of good players, but I think Bob is the number 1 player in that series. I think he is the player to watch.
I think Barzal is.
You think Well, yeah, obviously, but I think without Bob, I don't think the Panthers have a chance.
Oh, yeah.
In that matter. But obviously, Matt Barzal, of course. Shane, who do you think would win in that series?
That's a good question. I think it's going to take the max amount of games, but I think Florida is going to get revenge for a few years ago with the Islanders.
I could see that going to Game 7 as well. All right, let's go to the last Eastern Conference play-in round with the 24-team playoff idea. We got the Hurricanes versus the Rangers. I'm saying an upset in this. I think a lot of people are going to agree with me here because last week or whatever week it was, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the Rangers and how they had Zibanejad and Panarin, and they got Lundqvist and how do you say the goalie's name?
Georgiev.
Yeah, whatever the hell his name is. I think even though the Hurricanes are a 6 seed, I think, and the Rangers are an 11 seed, I think the Rangers are winning that. What do you think, Shane?
I'm going to say the New York Rangers as well.
Yeah,
I think they had a lot of momentum before the league went on hiatus. So I think that although they're seeded at 11, I think they're definitely worthy of like a 7 seed.
Zach, what do you think, Hurricane or Rangers?
I think that they could probably edge it out over the Hurricanes.
The New York Rangers.
And Liam, your thoughts?
Rangers, I think, too.
Yo, Koss, if your thing's not working, I don't know why, you can FaceTime me.
He said,
let
me join again.
All right, you want to try to leave again? I don't know how to kick him out.
No, he's gone. Like, just let him join.
Whoa.
Okay. I got to admit him again. Got it. Hopefully his audio. We're having some technical difficulties as usual. Cass, you there, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's back.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
here we
my
go. What happened,
God.
mate?
So,
Dude, well, my phone died. Then I tried to go on my fucking computer, and then it wasn't working.
It wasn't working. All right. Well, you missed that whole discussion, but we'll have a quick play-in round with you. Wink, wink. That sounded pretty gay. We got the Leafs versus the Blue Jackets. Who do you think's going to win that?
Oh, the Leafs for sure,
All
definitely.
right. And then we got Pens versus Canadians. Who do you think's going to win that?
Pens easily.
And then we got Islanders versus the Panthers.
Ooh, going Islanders.
Yeah, I think that's the series to watch.
Yeah, it'll be definitely a good
But
one.
my favorite series,
talent.
we'll get to this in a second, but my favorite series is this last one. Who do you think is going to win, Hurricanes versus Rangers?
Ooh, that's gonna be a fun one to watch. Actually, I think
that
definitely
is
the
my
Rangers will
favorite
pull that off.
series. I think that's my favorite series. And
I
don't know
wonder if
it's
they're gonna
necessarily
like
an upset.
broadcast all of these, like
Yeah.
nationally. I think
They-
they kind of have to.
Well, I think that's too. They're going to obviously try to have more airtime. A little separate discussion here, but I think the matter of having these play-in rounds be best of 5 or best of 3 will fix that. They won't have to pay for as much. But before we leave the Eastern Conference, we're going to do our favorite matchups here, or our favorite series potential of the play-in rounds. Mine's obviously the Rangers versus the Hurricanes. I'd love to see that. The Rangers, obviously, I think they're going to move on, but the Hurricanes are still a team. That's lethal. That's a threat. They're a 6th seed. They're barely in. They're wild card, kind of around that same area. Shane, what is your favorite series out of the Eastern Conference here?
I think purely for revenge sake, I would probably go with the Islanders-Panthers series. That's probably up
That's
there.
true. That happened a couple years ago, and the last time they played was when Johnny T was on Long Island. I pronounced that wrong.
Long Island.
Snake. Long Island. Zach, what's your favorite series there on this format?
probably Penguins and Canadians because the Penguins do not want to verse
You know-
Price. That's why they're complaining about what booster team.
I don't think. Listen, I don't. In my opinion, I think that can be an easy sweep for the Pens. I think it could be a 5-game series, maybe 6 at most. I don't think the Penguins have anything to worry about, but I think there is. Whatever it is, I think it could be a sweep or the other team gets one back, but I think that might not be a great series, but who knows? Liam, your favorite series out of the East?
Probably Rangers. Hurricanes will be the. I think if it is a 7-game series, I think that could go 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as everyone was saying, Rangers were very good near the end of the season before it stopped. So I could see the Rangers winning that in 7, but it's going to be a good series.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and then still staying in the Eastern Conference here because I forgot about the other teams. These players that had, or these teams that would have a first-round bye or not have to play in would be, it says Eastern Conference top 4 teams to play for seeding. So we would have the Boston Bruins, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Washington Capitals, and the Philadelphia Flyers. Those are the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. I don't know if that's by order. Do you boys know the seedings of that?
That is by order.
It is by order. I heard also there was a chance that they were going to have.
Yeah, it was on Let's
play.
Go Flyers.
I heard that they were going to play, like all 4 of those teams were going to play somehow and
I think that would
way,
take way too much time.
Yeah, I think that would take too much.
It have to be like one game, I think.
Yeah, but I feel like they'll probably just keep it Bruins, Lightning, Caps, Flyers.
Yeah. But let's say theoretically that it stays like that. The Bruins are number 1, Lightning 2, Caps 3, Flyers 4. Having this, the winner of the Lightning versus I'm all messed up. The winner of the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Blue Jackets would play the Bruins. The winner of the Penguins versus the Canadians would play the Flyers. The winner of the Islanders versus Panthers would play the Lightning, and the winner of the Rangers versus Hurricanes would play the Caps. So obviously we have some a little different, but again, there's still some matchups of the same, like the Leafs and the Bruins, the Flyers and the Pens. Another series, great series, but you can only see it so many times. The Lightning versus the Islanders or the Panthers, I think, would be a good change, good different pace, and of course the Caps and the Rangers or Hurricanes. So let's move over to the Western Conference now for our play-in rounds. We'll start with Shane. Shane, we have the Calgary Flames sitting at the 8th seed versus the Winnipeg Jets. Who do you think would win that series?
I think the Winnipeg Jets are going to do it. I feel like it's not gonna be a sweep, but it's gonna be one of those series where you can tell from the very beginning who's the more dominant team.
I think that has a chance to be a very good series, in my opinion. I think it's tough because I don't remember specifically, but the lead or the Flames lost to the Avalanche, right? How many games did that go last season?
I think it was like 5, yeah.
So I think I'm gonna agree with Shane and say Winnipeg just for that sake, and they don't really have within the last couple of years experience necessarily in the playoffs. Koss, who do you think would win that series?
I think it could really go either way.
Oh, obviously, everything can go either way.
I don't know. I'm gonna go Flames.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Flames.
Zach, what do you think about that?
Jets, they have a more experienced goaltender.
Liam?
I have to agree with Zach there.
Jets. All right. So most of the boys say the Jets. All right. Moving on. We got the Oilers versus the Blackhawks. This is kind of like
the best series. This is the best series of the West.
You think because this is totally new. The Oilers and the Blackhawks. I don't think I've ever played them each other so early in the playoffs. Koss, what are your thoughts about that? I know you got something to say there.
You got the Blackhawks. You got Oilers. Okay, and the Oilers they've been in the playoffs once in like this entire decade, pretty much. Okay, and then you got the Blackhawks. They've been in the playoffs pretty much every goddamn year. So you got experience and you got brand new. You got McDavid and you got Kane. I feel like that's just going to be like it's future and it's the past. I feel like that's just going to be like something really awesome to watch. Just something that doesn't always happen.
Like a learning moment for McDavid.
Yeah. I think that'll be cool to watch.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that, but I think there's not much you can do, but it's kind of like the Canadians on the other side. They're trash. They're like barely 500. I don't know what their record is, but like, it's like they didn't plan to be in the playoffs. So now they're suddenly in it and they're like, oh, we got something to fight for. So that could be a totally different story and discussion going into the playoffs. Shane, what do you think Oilers versus Hurricanes or Oilers versus Hawks? I got my colors.
I would say the Oilers, like I said, like with the format, I know Chicago wasn't really doing too hot for the majority of the year.
Yeah, I think it's easy Oilers.
He's going to kind of follow the seeding here, just kind of go with the higher seed in this case.
Zach, what are your thoughts on that?
Because it sucked down my water. It's going to be close. That's all I can say. But
I think that surprisingly could be a 7-game series. I'm just going to throw that out there.
3-game series.
Or whatever, the most series. I'm used to saying 3-game series.
It's going to be the Oilers, by the way.
All right, and then we got the Vancouver Canucks versus the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota Wild, they're always in the playoffs, I swear. But they're like the Flyers within the past couple of years. They only show up for the first round. We'll start off with Liam. Who do you think is going to win that?
Ooh, honestly, I think Vancouver will, to be honest, because the Wild have got momentum like before the season's put on hold. I know they were winning a lot of games, but I know Vancouver has been the better team year round. And Quinn Hughes is having a really good rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm going to have to say Vancouver there.
I feel like, I'm not a Minnesota Wild fan, obviously, and I don't know a lot about them. I don't follow them that much, but I feel like the Wild have been a team that have just been sputtering in the mud for countless years once they make the playoffs. They've been like the same team for the longest time. And you could say that for the Flyers for the past couple of years, but obviously the Flyers, change of everything, change of coaches, change of GM, change of players, got new faces. The Flyers did something that made a difference, not choosing any bias, but just kind of having a comparison. And I just feel like the Wild have just been, hey, we're here. We made the playoffs. We're gonna win like 2 games and then dip.
Yeah, they have the same core every year. It's
What are your thoughts about that?
I'm gonna be honest. I've been trying to send a link to someone. I wasn't really listening.
You good, man. You good.
Is this on YouTube or Facebook?
This is on YouTube.
All right, I thought so.
Don't worry, we're already halfway done, boys. We are trying to make this short because nobody wants to watch 2 hours. We get carried away very easily. All right, so with time restraints, let's move on. We got this is actually something I am going to be looking forward to. The Arizona Coyotes would be in the playoffs for the first time in how long? The Arizona Coyotes, 8 years. Arizona
I don't
Coyotes,
think I've ever seen them in the playoffs.
This is going to be, I swear, this is going to be an upset right here. Why do I keep saying Hurricanes? The Coyotes are going to beat the Predators. Who agrees with me?
I can see that.
I think the Coyotes would win. I honestly think the Coyotes would
Coyotes
win.
finally get into the playoffs. They play a bleeding Predators team, a team that's fallen apart within the past couple of years ever since they played Pittsburgh in the finals. They're not the same team. Johansson's production, not great, sucks, went down. Pecorine scored a goal, but his production sucks. Congrats. That's the greatest thing that happened to the freaking Predators franchise the whole season.
They got rid of Kevin Fiala. Dumbest mistake.
That's
he was a good player for them.
And he's on the Wild too, so be looking out for that. Shane, who do you think? You said you think Coyotes going to win that?
I do think the Coyotes are going to win it. I know I cited it like last podcast or the previous podcast before the outdoor one. Yeah. I remember talking about just like how, like, I think just Arizona is just like a genuine wild card.
Yeah.
Not only within the Western Conference, but just within the NHL in general.
And
I think they are just.
I don't know what this would probably be super easy, but imagine they make the playoffs, and I don't know if there's any rules on jerseys in the playoffs. Is there?
No, they can touch where the Kachinas.
Kachinas for their first playoff appearance in 8 years. Kos, how mad would that be?
That would be pretty dope. Actually, that would be really dope.
Like, obviously, I don't think they would do it. Like, it would be insane. Like, that's the least of their worries right now because they're trying to do this whole thing with 24 playoff teams. Yeah. And on the other hand, it's just jerseys. Who cares? But I think that would be freaking awesome. I think that would be dope. In my opinion, just because the Coyotes are in it in this scenario, I think that would be the best. The one to look forward to the most. I don't know if it's going to be as competitive, but I think, in my opinion, that would be the best.
I feel like though, whenever you put the Predators in the playoffs, I feel like it's always competitive. They have such a strong fan base that like
they do. But you have to realize that they've fallen apart within the last 2 3 years.
They have. But like I know they're fame, but
there's also going to there's not going to be any fans there.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I forgot about that.
And we will talk about that in our next topic as we move on.
That changes the whole thing. I think.
Yeah, I got some other stuff to talk about too. Thank you for that reminder.
Coyotes are definitely winning that series.
All I gotta say is, keep your eye on Arizona.
Yes, sir. All right.
Don't they have that one chant where every time they score a goal, it's like they taunt the other goalie?
The goalie, yeah.
Yeah, bro.
The Predators?
There's no way they win that.
Yeah.
It's all your fault.
All right, so moving on here. Western Conference top 4 teams to play for seeding would be the Blues, the Avalanche, Vegas, and the Dallas Stars. In the winner, whoever wins Calgary versus Winnipeg would play the Blues. Oilers versus the Hawks would play the Dallas Stars. Vancouver versus the Wild. Whoever wins that would play the Avalanche. And last but not least, whoever wins, this is also something awesome. The Coyote, this is just awesome, just in that general area of the bracket. The Coyotes versus the Predators. The Coyotes win that, and then they go to play Vegas. 2 desert teams, insane. That would be amazing. 2 desert teams in the playoffs. Team, bro. There's so much potential for new stuff, new opportunities. I would love it. All right.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty sick.
Here's my question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Flyers versus Flyers. See, I called this last year. Flyers versus Knights in the Stanley Cup. Who do you think Bryce would root for? Definitely the Knights, right?
I think he would root for the Knights, but he wouldn't tell anybody. But people would know it.
He's a huge Knights fan.
Because obviously, if we're going way into the future here and just.
I DM'd him one time. I told him I'd take him to a Flyers Knights game.
Did he respond to you?
No.
Yeah,
Matt,
but
you know?
you know who did respond to you?
Fucking
You don't even know his name. You were unworthy.
Brian.
I can't. I forgot. Brian Prop. Yeah.
All right, let's move on, boys, because we got to make this short and sweet. and to the
Also, I'm
point.
just gonna add this too.
Yeah.
I think Colorado wins the Western Conference.
Agreed.
Get the fuck
Oh,
out.
Colorado?
No
Yeah.
Tendy. No Tendy.
I don't care. I agree that Colorado would win.
All right, let's move on, boys. I'm going to stop this share here. I got a few questions to wrap up the first topic here. I was watching Spittin' Chicklets. Hopefully we don't get sued over this. I don't think
No,
they'll
it's
care.
okay. Barstool's chill with it.
But I was watching Spittin' Chicklets at work today, and I'm going to bring up one of these episodes and play a couple seconds of it. The Spittin' Chicklets episode 269, Giggity, featuring Kevin Hayes and Curtis Patrick. Particularly Kevin Hayes, I want to focus in on this. Around 26 minutes in, Hayes talks about getting back into the game. Not really anything crazy to talk about here, but I want to play this clip just about him talking about getting back into the game and back into the playoffs. And then I want to move that into his thoughts of playing in front of no fans. So let's listen to this at the 26 mark of what Kevin Hayes would have to say about his Flyers and just in general getting back into the swing of things.
We're starting to ramp up play, and you guys had some momentum going into the postseason. I would imagine you guys would have clinched a playoff spot. Do you think you'll be able to get back in the swing of things with like a couple-week training camp and be able to kick it in high gear?
Yeah, I hope so. We have a great leadership group there. I mean, guys that have been there for a while, like Coots, Jake, and G. Like they run a great locker room. Obviously, new older guys came in this year, like myself, Niskanen, Braun, Stewie, Pitlick, and like even Moose is an older guy there. And it's a fun ship, to be honest. Like there's a lot of fun going on at the rink and away from the rink, and we were really confident at the time. Like I would argue we were, I don't know, besides the Bruins, maybe the hottest team in the league.
And what he was saying there too, I want to point out, he's talking about the friendship. How much do you think, is there a point, whoever wants to answer this first, where the bond or the friendship in this team, just a random question, would become a distraction towards winning games? Like obviously Kevin Hayes, Portnoy guy, team player, they got all the momentum, and I'm not trying to be biased here, but is there a point where they're too loose? They're too,
To be honest,
too easy going into it.
To be honest, without fans, I think that's probably all you got, and you got to rely on that shit.
That's a very good point. I keep forgetting about the fans. That's a
Like,
very good
if you
point.
you take out the fans, say you got no leader in the locker room,
Yeah.
what's gonna hype you up? Fans,
Yeah.
obviously. So you go
Yeah.
in there, you need Kevin Hayes, you need Coots, you
Yeah.
need that guy. Put it out there. So,
Yeah, I
Shane,
would
do you have
say
thoughts
that.
on that?
I think just personally, like when you look at like the idea of just locker room guys, like they can genuinely like be the difference between a great team and a good team. Like they can quite literally like be the actual like heart and soul of the team.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely makes a difference because at the end of the day, like they're playing a sport that they love and like they should be having fun. Like I understand that it's the best league in the world, but at the same time, you just gotta take it how it is. It's not like a I guess I don't really know how to frame this, but at the end of the day, they're playing hockey. It's a sport they grew up playing. So
Yes, sir.
think that
And
going
I
back
also-
to the roots.
I also want to bring
Roots,
up
there it is.
another quote here from the Spittin' Chicklets episode. I realize I spelled chicklets wrong on here. I'm an idiot. But this is something I really want to talk about real quick before we get into our last topic, because I know we want to make this short and entertaining and not 2 hours long. Thank you. I appreciate that, Shane.
Good laugh.
You're welcome.
Kevin Hayes talking about playing in front of no fans. This really got my attention while I was at work, stacking up the cold box, doing my thin
Putting in that Wawa
thing.
grind.
B-dubs, shout out to Shane because he's trying to work at Wawa and he's got his interview coming up. Hopefully Mr. Chick Bats will give him a call. Tom, if you're watching,
Yeah,
shout out to you, homie. Hopefully someone buys your Boston Whaler. Getting back into the thick of things. So Kevin Hayes talking about playing in front of no fans. I want you guys to listen to this because RA and all the boys bring up a great point. And Kevin Hayes says, obviously, the weirdest thing is going to be playing in front of no fans. But there's another point that's brought up that they say he thinks all the players are going to wear helmets during warmups as a joke, just because there's nobody to see it. But he also says that there's a possibility of all the players being mic'd up. Now, I want you guys to listen to this. And
They did that in baseball.
And then think about what it would be like. So let's listen to this real quick.
And I mean, I hope that we can. I think we have the right leadership to be able to get back 2-week training camp and kind of get the mojo back. But the thing that's, I don't know if scary is the right word, but the thing that sucks is playing in front of no fans is going to be really, really weird to kind of grasp.
I think that those first few games, when and if it happens, I mean, let's agree on the fact that at some point you're going to play a game with no fans. That's
For
whether
sure.
it's this year or next year.
Yeah.
It is going to be the most bizarre beginning to a game because the intensity level, I don't even think, even if it's coaches may think and players may think it isn't what it normally is, but it really could be, but you can't tell because without the noise and without the passion, it's going to be so bizarre to actually figure out like who's controlling play. I know it sounds crazy, but it's going to be.
I agree. Like imagine going out for warm-ups.
Hey, how about this one?
They just pump tunes from the Quebec tournament you played in '94.
Hey, my first year with the Coyotes, I think we played.
And actually, the part where he talks about, I got the wrong time here. It was at the 31-minute mark where he talks about the possibility of them being mic'd up. Here it is.
You can get away with one now. Say that goodbye.
They're going to have to have someone on the drop button too, man, because all these swears are going to get picked up because they're not going to get drowned out by the crowd noise. I've been saying that for years. They should do a pay-per-view version, so we might get a lot more swears. That could be a little bonus.
But I think there'll be a lot. Like I think every player will be mic'd up just for the experience because this has never happened before.
And a key thing to listen to there is saying this has never happened before, and it might not ever happen again. God forbid COVID-20 doesn't become a thing. So I think this is a great idea. I don't know how they would do it, but I think just kind of like the All-Star game where they mic everybody up.
See,
In a way, I'm not too concerned about there being no fans. Obviously, there's nothing you can do about that. But I think if you mic all those players up, and maybe the coach, I don't really care much about the coach, but if you mic all those players up or have like boom mics or whatever for the players who were like not on the bench, they're like actually playing the game, people aren't going to care about the fans or no fans. Like just watching a game, not listening to a commentator, just listening to it, it's like you're there. It's live. You're listening to the players, them cursing, F this, I freaking suck, that famous Kevin Hayes quote. Imagine that. What are your thoughts on that? That would be awesome.
That would be very entertaining. I think that would add
a
whole different
They
dynamic.
actually had in baseball spring training, they had the commentators actually talk to the batter, and
I know what you're talking about, Dylan. Yeah.
And he was like, "There's fastball coming," and he's like, and
I
he's
think
running.
It would be amazing.
First base, like, no, do it.
Yeah. Haywood, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's also going to fill in sound because
definitely if you had Hayes.
You're used to hearing the
hazy
and everything. So we'll kind of fill in some sound to make the game go by a little quicker. Hopefully, it'll make the whole playoff series go a little quicker. Well, I'm not saying necessarily quicker, but
definitely more entertaining.
Yeah, exactly.
Liam, do you have any thoughts about that? The possibility of them being mic'd up. I know we lagged out there for a second, but it's all right. The boys are here.
No, I think it'd be interesting, but they'd really have to control what's being said though by the players.
Yeah, and there's also something else too. They would have a pay-per-view version. Would you agree with them having the options of a pay-per-view or like a freaking entourage version of it where you hear all these curse words, and then you could also flip to an option where Doc's speaking?
Well,
I don't know.
Obviously,
well, also you think about it, a lot of that is like a 30-second delay. So like the producer,
they would have time.
Control it can like easily quickly leave out.
Yeah,
players doing the first or something.
All right, boys. We got anything else on that topic? We're gonna dive into the second one, and then we'll wrap it up before you know it, boys. We good?
Good to go, Con.
All right, mate. We're good to go. We're moving on. Obviously, we're gonna spread this out a little bit, like some cream cheese on a bagel. I just thought about that on the fly. It was pretty good. It's Memorial Day weekend, boys. Obviously, we got to pay our respects, all seriousness, to those who gave their lives, the ultimate sacrifice, Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy yourself, guys. Obviously, have a good time. Do whatever you want, but know the reason of the holiday, those who gave their lives. For the second topic, to celebrate Memorial Day or to remember those, we're going to be talking about the United States and the USA of hockey. I play for the United States of America. That's going to be the opening song to this podcast, or the opening monologue to this. So we're going to be talking about the best team to win the cup since the 2000s. I know Liam previously said this, and he's going to prove why this isn't biased. Liam, who's the best team to win, the best U.S. team, because it's Memorial Day weekend, best U.S. team to win the Stanley Cup since 2000?
2016 Penguins, and I'll explain why. That Penguins team kind of paved the way for how the modern day NHL is, and it's all based around speed. And the Penguins, that's why the Penguins were so good that year, is because they came out with absolute speed and they were just crushing every opponent. And if you would watch, they would dominate every single game. I mean, not the Washington series. That series was a bit harder, but like the cup final against the Sharks, like they dominated every single game in that series. And they could have won it in 5 if Martin Jones didn't steal game 5. But
right.
I don't know. The 2016 Penguins really paved the way for how the NHL is today, where they try and base everything around speed.
Do you think that, I mean, I agree with you with what you're saying there a bit, not completely, but do you think it's a little premature to say they paved the way when it only happened?
I'm not going to say I mean, yeah, but honestly, they're the first team that came out that they were trying to be like, oh, this is our thing. We're going to play with speed, and that's how we're going to win games. But you can see a lot of other teams have taken that like play style, and they're doing it now. You know?
I think this isn't my choice of the best U.S. team to win the cup since 2000, but I think the most memorable team to win the cup since 2000 would be the Blues. And I know that just happened, but I think that's the most memorable. Either that or the Capitals, because both teams are teams that haven't won the cup before. But with the Blues, the whole story behind them being in last place, and we talked about it, I think that's the most memorable. The best team to win the cup, I would have to do a little bit of thinking about that. So, Zach, do you have a team that you would think is the best U.S. team to win a cup since 2000?
Yes, plus no Canadian team has won Stanley Cup since 1993. So
yeah, good. That's a good point as well. So it's all U.S. teams.
It's 2002 Detroit Red Wings.
Trying to be patriotic.
Team.
You said 2002 with Scotty Bowen. Scotty Bowman.
Yes.
As the is that head coach?
Yeah. Yes, he was. His stack team: Steve Eiserman, Brent Shanahan, Nick Lidstrom, Brett Hall, Luke Robitaille, Dominic Hasek.
Was 2001 when Raymond Bourque lifted it?
Yes.
I don't know if that's the best team, but that's definitely most memorable.
What about the 03, 04, or it might have been 05? When did the Lightning win the cup? Was it
04? Because the lockout happened during 05.
They had Prime Richards, Prime LeCavalier. I think they still had Louis at that time. Ooh. Yeah, they were good back then. They were all good when they were older too.
I love St. Louis. We put up a thing on Mother's Day about him. I loved him. He was a great player, great class act watching. Shane, I'm gonna throw it over to you. I know you don't have a lot of experience in hockey or know it up per se, but I know you can hold your own when it's talking about it.
Yeah, of course. Come on now.
What do you think is the best team to win the cup since 2000? Best U.S. team, of course. They're all U.S. teams.
Okay.
Looking at these stats here, you got the series leads, you got the standings, you got the head coaches. And also, if you notice, all the way to the right side, you have the game-winning goal.
Okay. In terms of the best team to win it, I'm going to go out there because I'm kind of caught in the situation with Connor where it's between memorable and best. Honestly,
because a lot of the time, the most memorable playoffs make it the best.
There are 3 teams that I think are the most memorable wins. It's probably the 2013 Chicago Blackhawks. The 2019 St. Louis
You called it,
Blues.
Liam.
Really? 2013 Blackhawks?
I think so. I think so.
I can agree with him.
Okay, listen, I'm going to be honest with you boys. The 2013 Stanley Cup Finals are the finals that I was, like, not even paying attention to. Like, I was watching it, but, like,
Good series.
it was a good series, but, like, I really don't remember a lot about it. And I don't know whether I was just busy or whatnot or what was going on. But I remember I was like, oh, like, it was the first time in my life I was like, oh, game 7's tonight, or however, how many games did that go to? 6? I was like, oh, game 6 is tonight. And I remember, and I was like, I wasn't even watching it. I was like, for the first time, I don't know what was up with me, but I wasn't even watching it, man. I wasn't even watching that final. And I tuned in like the last 5 minutes. And then, was that when the Blackhawks scored those last 2 goals?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep. Yeah, I remember, and I was like, I remember not watching it, and I was like, oh, the Bruins are going to force a game 7, right? So I wasn't really concerned about it. I was like, I'm just going to tune into like the last 5 minutes, watch the end of it. That's why I wasn't watching.
There you go.
I remember now.
But
and then those last 30 seconds, how do you boys feel about that? That was insane. Just the tides can flip that fast.
It was crazy.
Yeah, Chicago's kind of a wild card in that series again, I guess. I mean, admittedly, like I was saying, like with the teams, there's this contrast between memorable and best, like in terms of skill. I think it's always gonna people aren't really gonna remember like a team that was super skilled that won the cup. They're gonna remember the team that won it in a very memorable way.
Right, and nobody remembers second place too. There's that saying. But when something like this does happen, you definitely remember second place.
And so I would probably say with the 2013 Chicago Blackhawks, obviously with that third period there, along with that, I think Washington Capitals, just because watching Ovechkin win a cup was something that, admittedly, as a non-Washington Capital fan, it does put a smile on your face.
Yeah,
that guy has been in the league for a long time.
One of the finals that I was the most happiest about.
Yeah, it was probably most hype I ever had.
I mean, like the Caps are in the Metro with both our Flyers and Liam's Penguins, but that was obviously that's what it's all about. And just going off on a little tangent here, obviously 2012 Kings, 2013 Blackhawks, 2014 Kings, 2015 Blackhawks, and then Penguins going back to back. It gets old, it gets stale, and seeing that emotion and Ovi finally
5-6 years, there was only 2 or 3 teams that won.
Right, and it was so amazing to see that emotion and just him winning that cup. Like Alex Pietrangelo didn't have that emotion, even though he had such a far greater story with the whole team. That was probably the most emotion that I've ever seen, and it was amazing.
And then in terms of the St. Louis Blues, I think just in general, when they say the best team to do it, I think that personally they were the best team to do that because of how they won it.
Yeah.
Admittedly. So, if you're going to be able to make that comeback from last in the league,
2016 Penguins did the same thing too.
If you're going to make that up,
I was gonna say that too. We're gonna wrap up soon. I know we don't want to keep this too long, but I was gonna say that too. Did you say 20?
Keep interrupting.
Did you say 2016, Liam?
Yeah.
I think the same thing. Though? Yeah. Hold on, real quick. I just want to say this real quick. I'm sorry. The 2017 Penguins with the Predators with Patrick Hornquist scoring with 2 minutes left. That was a dry ass game.
1:36.
That's literally the same thing happening between the 2013 playoff series. Those last couple goals. Shane, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say just the way that St. Louis did it, in my opinion, makes it the best way to do it because you're coming from that position, and not only that, that's at the actual Christmas break. So admittedly, there's not a whole lot of hockey between the start of the new year and the actual playoffs. So for them to make that climb to a wild card spot and then knock off teams like the Jets, especially the Jets were really hot that year, and I can actually remember watching the game and the goal that clinched the series for the Blues.
Yeah.
And on top of that, going to 7 games with Boston and then winning it in Boston is something that, admittedly, I'm not trying to diss Boston here, but they kind of have a habit of losing those big games at home. But at the same time, I think it's one of those stories where it's like a Cinderella story and a true underdog story, which makes it that much better.
Yeah.
And it's the first time they won the cup too.
Yeah.
So it's like
Memorable
it's the
for
first way
sure.
to do it, and that's probably the best way that you could do it.
Yeah. Anybody else got anything to go off of that? Anybody got something else? We're good, boys. All right.
Hi,
So
Dylan.
I think we did relatively good with some time restraints there. We're going to wrap it up, obviously, make it way shorter. We probably reached around an hour, so we did still go a little bit over. Do you boys remember the trivia question from last week?
Yeah.
Cost, what was it?
Wait. What was it?
Oh,
I don't remember.
What did Shane dislocate when he went snowboarding?
Yeah, so somebody did get this right.
Can I tell the story?
I have no idea who it was. You can tell the story if you can tell it within like 2 minutes.
Actually, let me reveal the answer.
Go ahead, Shane.
So the answer, I dislocated my shoulder whilst snowboarding.
And dude, snow is blowing on this kid, and
here's the story, man.
In the snow, and I'm like, we all fell in the same spot. And I'm probably like,
that's what was the sketchy part, is that we all fell in the same spot.
Yeah, all in the same spot. Me, Liam, Shane. I think Ant fell afterwards.
Yeah,
Ant's always
right
falling.
behind me.
Goldfish lips.
Dude, that kid. He was literally laying down like this as snow. Like his jersey was orange, it was white after I got closer to him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Shane, do you want to get up? Like I'm like trying to like block the snow from him. And he's just like, I think I'm injured. I'm just gonna try to snowboard down.
Hey, all I gotta say is though,
and he went down the whole mountain.
I got up and I went down the rest of the mountain.
And we were at like
right there.
Not even. We were like down like the first slope.
Yeah. All righty. What's the question going to be for next week, boys?
Wait, so who won?
Oh, I have no idea. I had a screenshot. I don't know who it was. If I find it later, I'll let you know. I know it's in my camera roll somewhere, but I couldn't find it.
Good job.
But I know somebody did get it right. And I know,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like your grandfather or whoever that guy is, but he did say your shoulder blade.
Yeah, he
Does
doesn't
that
count
count?
though. He doesn't count.
Shoulder blade and shoulder, it's two different spots. It's not the same thing. Shoulder
All right, boys,
blade is not your shoulder.
All right, let's wrap it up, boys. What's the trivia question? What do we want to make it? Want to make it something relevant towards this 24 team playoff bracket?
You know what? Let's do a pretty classic trivia question. Name the teams in the NHL that do not end in S.
Wait, we gotta have something that like can't be looked up though.
Yeah, well
like that
Jamie
first
Ben
one
one obviously could be looked up.
How about we add 2?
No.
Wait.
we're not adding 2.
What if we
Why
have
not both?
What if we have like? Never mind. I can't really say it. I was gonna say like someone like cover their camera and then be out for the rest of it and be like, what was he wearing? But I don't know. Never mind.
All right, boys. We're gonna. Well, no, people on freaking Spotify can't see us.
I realized.
Guess Connor's middle name.
By the way, hi Spotify.
All right, yeah, that's the question.
No one can look that
Shane
up.
knows this because Shane is a Melfington and he loves calling me this. That's the trivia question.
Not close.
What is my middle name?
Go on, Con.
Go on, Con. What is Go on, Con? What is Go on, Con's middle name? And that is it.
It rhymes with con.
Shane, shut your mouth, you Melfington.
Hey, I'm just putting that out there.
All right, boys, we're going to sign out one by one. Shane, say goodbye to the loyal 5 viewers.
Goodbye to the loyal 5 viewers.
Zach, say goodbye.
Viewers.
Shane, you kind of look like a skinny version of Andy Reid with your Hawaiian shirt.
Oh
thank
my
you.
God. Oh
I'm
my
not-
God.
I'm not-
Oh, you just made it more distracting.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Liam, say goodbye.
Hey.
Liam's
Yeah.
been in a little
Flyers
bit of
Flyers
foxy
in
mood.
6 versus the Kings. I'm
All
signing
righty.
out.
That'll
Peace.
do us. Everybody have a happy and safe Memorial Day
Bye,
weekend.
Dylan.
Have a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. God bless the United States of America. We will
Stay
see you
safe.
in Epi 4. Peace out.
Stay safe out there, people.
Good Epi, boys.
Bye.